Hey everyone, it is Mrs. Brown here. I am so glad that you have joined me today. I'm going to give everybody a chance to kind of join and um, bring themselves to either YouTube or Facebook so that they can join the conversation. But I'm also going to dive right in about 30 seconds because I have my youngest daughter who is competing in the nationals for AAU track this actually today. And so at some point very soon, she'll be streaming live. So I want to catch her running. And so if you happen to be thinking about or have an athlete and you know how that is, my daughter's name is Faith. If you could just keep her in your thoughts and your prayers, she'll be running here in a second in North Carolina and the AAU track competition that they have there for nationals. All right. My name is Mrs. Brown and I'm a certified IEW instructor. So I'll just introduce myself. If you are new to this channel, I teach writing and grammar classes that lay a foundation for a lifetime of excellent writing. And if that sounds good to you, and you have an elementary or a high school student or a middle school student, make sure that you hit like or subscribe so you will be notified when I post new videos. But today, I'm going to specifically be talking about one particular issue as it relates to teens, those middle school and high school students. And so, if you've been around, you've been on my channel for a while, or you've met me or know me, you've probably heard that I homeschooled for 10 years. My students are in traditional school now. I have three who are in a public charter and one in a private school now, but I have four teens of my own. I have a 13-year-old, a 15, 16, and 17-year-old. I have to think about it because, it happened so quickly. I can remember the day that I brought my oldest home, and my husband and I were sitting in the bed like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they let us bring a human being home. So it has gone really fast. But I want to talk today about homeschooling teenagers. So I have a quick question for you, and a quick story. I remember um, those times, especially this time of the year, that early August, late July time frame, where I was trying to pick the right curriculum, make final decisions about what we were going to do for our homeschooling year. But there was one year that was more difficult than others, and my quick question for you, especially if you have teens, or maybe if you don't have teens, what is one of the hardest things that some homeschool parents say that they run into when it comes to homeschooling their teens? And this is something I hear a lot. I've heard a lot from moms. I have experienced it myself. I'm just curious, what do you think? You can drop it in the comments. What's one thing that you think might be really difficult that's not commonly talked about? That's not commonly talked about. And then I will give you my answer. One thing that might be a little bit difficult in terms of homeschooling teens that's not often talked about. All right. Well, I'm going to give you my answer. And this is something that I navigated myself, and that I'm navigating myself just raising teens is resistance. The resistance. I remember it wasn't that it happened like all of a sudden, but it was just gradual. I remember I moved from, having these little young in kind of classical education, those grammar stage kids where you're smart and you know everything and they hang off of your every word and they're just so excited to get your feedback and they care about what you think. Right. And then just gradually over time, I found myself in these moments where, like, everything I asked, there was well, why do I have to do that? And why do I have to write this much? And why do I have to learn this? And why do I have to do so much math? So, anyhow, I am right there with you. And I want to talk about, in terms of my writing classes, how I support you and build in support for that part of the journey when it comes to writing and teens. So if your teens are nearby, especially if you're already enrolled in one of my classes, send them away because I'm talking to moms today and dads today who homeschool. And so, as I said earlier, my name is Mrs. Brown. I teach IEW writing classes. And so, IEW has some excellent materials for that middle school stage. They have a new program, new as of last year, called Structure and Style for Students. And their first middle school ish age program is called SSS 1B. And that is designed for students who are reading at a sixth through eighth grade reading level. And then they have SSS 2B, designed for students who are reading at a seventh through ninth grade reading level. And then 1C, which I also teach this year, and that's designed for students who are reading at a 10th grade and up reading level. But what's really important is not only the curriculum, because I think, especially if you have teens, you would agree that picking curriculum is definitely something that we probably spend lots of time on, but maintaining that relationship and navigating the curriculum and all that involves during the school year, the day to day, the week to week, can be really, really tricky sometimes when our teens are in that wonderful stage that they need to be in, that why stage, that dialectic stage. So I wanted to give you 4 things that I do in my class to really engage your student and come alongside you and support you as a parent and support all those things that you're already telling your students to do at home. So in my class, the very first thing that I do every week with my students is review. And we review all of the content that the students have learned or were working on in their Structure and Style for Students video lesson the previous week. Now, as a mom, I have said this a million times, and I'm sure you've done this or said this to your students too. Like, make sure that you're paying close attention to what you're learning and that you are studying, not just like rushing through it, but really studying and hanging on to what you're learning. Well, review through games. My students love Kahoot, so I'll do Kahoot from time to time. Through games, I reinforce what you're already saying to them at home to make sure that you study. And so it really encourages them on their own to not just rush through the lesson, but to really study and hang on and engage with that lesson so that when they come to class at the beginning, that they can do well on the review or during the review section of class. The second part that I offer in class is the sharing section. So after we review what we learned the previous week, and of course, students ask questions about anything they have a question about from the previous lesson, we also open up time to share their work. This is actually one of my favorite parts of class, and it's tended to become one of the favorites for my students, even my most reluctant writers. So what I do is in my class, I give all of my students multiple ways to share because I do want to honor that for some of us, sharing is scary. So I say you can share at any level of comfort, your level of comfort. And so they can either share their whole paper, a paragraph, or a sentence. And some students just want to share even in the chat. But what that reinforces for your student and really encourages them to do these things on their own, things you've already been saying, is to make sure that when you do your work, you do work that is worth sharing, like do your best. And so I have found for my students that they look forward to this because in my class, we are all about celebrating each other when we share, no matter what is shared, whether it's just a word from what I've written, a sentence, a paragraph, or a whole paper. We use our emojis and our reactions and our voices to say, you know what, thank you for showing up and thank you for having the courage to share. And so, again, it reinforces what you've already been saying to your students. Do your best so that when it's time to share what it is that you have to share, you have something that you feel really excited about. And I find that my students begin to own that on their own through that aspect of class. The third thing that we do is preview. Okay, so again, I have teens, and a lot of the times I've said, make sure you know what is ahead. Like, I want you to plan for the week, know what you have, what's required, preview what it is that you are going to be working on this week. And so for preview, it's already built in, building that executive functioning skill that, again, all of our students are working, even some parents, raising my hand here. That skill of that executive functioning skill is something that has to be built. And so the way that I build that in for your student and for you is I have preview already built into the class so that your student is practicing the skill of planning ahead, looking forward. And then I said sharing was my favorite, which it is, but my neck and neck favorite is author spotlight. And the reason that I love this so much is actually because of how my students respond to it and how my students engage with the author spotlight. So again, as a parent, I have always wanted my students to be as excited as I am about what we're learning. Like, hey, we're learning how to write adjectives or ly adverbs. And my own personal, like my kids, they're like, oh, mom, it's not that exciting. But what I do is I build in this author spotlight and I let your students participate by sharing their favorite authors with me, and I will spotlight their author sometimes throughout the week. So what that does for your student, I know we say a lot of times as parents, find ways to connect what you're learning to the other things that you're engaging with. Like, so when you're reading, look for those quality adjectives or those ly adverbs or who, which clauses or because clauses. And I know when I would just say that to my own personal children, they wouldn't necessarily do it. But I found that when I added author spotlight to my class, students were excited, like, to give me a whole list of books that they have been reading and that they love. And they would even look at books that they had already been reading and they would say, oh, Mrs. Brown, let me tell you what I found this week. And can you add, Rick Warden was like one of our favorites in our class. Can you add this book to the author spotlight next week? Because Rick Warden used an excellent quality adjective or strong verb. And so that's just one way that in my class, I help to encourage and engage your students, but encourage them to begin to take ownership of the things that you have already been saying to them. All right. So again, just as a quick review, I build in some of the things in my class to support not only your student, but you support what it is that you're already telling your student at home. So again, in review, I just build in the message of make sure that you study and pay attention. I know you're already saying that, but I build that in so that they hold on to that lesson that you're sharing with them. I offer the opportunity for them to share their work so that reinforces the do your best, something we always say to our students, and then they begin to take ownership of that same message. Preview. I do a preview of what is to come, what they should be focusing on this coming week again, and that allows them to begin to take ownership of the lesson that we always have been sharing with them verbally, is to make sure that you pay close attention, that you plan ahead, building that skill of executive functioning. And then I have author spotlights where, again, they begin to take ownership of connecting, like making connections between what they're learning and writing and what they're gauging, like what they're engaging with in terms of literature and even things that they're reading through magazines and things of that nature. And I love to see them like just kind of just sparkle when it comes to that kind of thing. And I love to see them taking ownership of the messages that you're already sharing. So I wanted to share with you, if you are thinking about, like, you're at that point where you're like, oh, I've been thinking about, writing, and I'm not sure if I want to sign up for a class or anything like that. If you've been considering signing up for a class, I just wanted to share with you what class would be like, especially for your teens if they were in class with me. So I'm going to share a little bit with you, just a real quick video that shares with you what my openings are. If you have a middle school student, 6th through 8th grade, I have some openings in my Structure and Style for Students 1B. If you have a middle school student who's reading at a 7th through 9th grade level, that class is almost full. So the numbers that you might see coming up on the video I'm going to show you might there are not as many openings. And if you have a 1C student, a student who is in high school, who is in 10th grade or reading at a 10th grade or above level, I have openings. And if you register by August the 5th, if you register by August the 5th, I am giving a $20 discount for anyone who registers by August the 5th. Or if you refer, so if you're a referring parent and you like to refer someone, you know someone who's looking for IEW and looking for that support for their teen and for themselves, especially through this stage where our teens may be a little bit trickier to teach, then you also can receive either a $20 coupon for registering your own student or free private tutoring, one free private tutoring lesson. So let me share my openings, and then I'll have one other thing to share with you before I leave at the end. So hang on to the end, because I want to share two of my favorite free items that IEW offers you that I think are excellent for those of us who have middle school or high school students and who are using IEW.
Has teaching writing been an ongoing challenge? I get it, and I have been there, but it doesn't have to be that way, and I would love to help you and your student this school year. My name is Mrs. Brown, and I'm a certified IEW instructor, and here are my current openings. Be sure to register today at homeschoolclick.com.
All right, well, those are the openings that I have currently, particularly in 1B and 1C. I have openings. So if you have a student in that age, or you have someone that you know would love that support for that teen student on that writing journey this school year, certainly have them contact me. Like I said earlier, my daughter is getting ready to run in the National AAU track meet. So I am going to run today. But if you have a question, if you want to reach out to me, you can always reach out to me by contacting me at IEW with Mrs. Brown at gmail.com. Or you can always find me at homeschoolclick.com. That is my website where you can find all of my classes. You can contact me directly. You can set up a private a parent consultation that's free if you're just like, you know what, I really want to just ask about writing and see how I can support my student better this year, or I just don't want to go it alone. You can certainly find me there. But otherwise, it was good to see you today. I'm going to run now. I'm going to share with you two more videos that will close us out today, that will tell you what's included in 1B and 1C. And I wish each of you a wonderful homeschooling year. Oh, one more thing I want to say is if you missed you know what I totally forgot? Oh my gosh, the free things. My brain is done today. All right. The first free thing that IEW offers you that you definitely want to check out for your middle school, your high school student, and I will put the links down below after this post on YouTube and Facebook, is the IEW app. Go and get that today. I know my teens have phones, and tech is like, you know, a double-edged sword. But one way that I love using tech is by making sure that your students have the IEW app installed on their phones or their tablets. Is an excellent free resource. They do have an extended part of the app, which is, I think, $5, super cheap. That gives you a little bit more access to more information and data, and totally worth it, especially for that price. But I would say the IEW app is something you absolutely want to download, and the free version is excellent, especially if you have teens, middle school or high school students. And the second free thing that I think is really helpful for your teens is a free download of misplaced modifiers. I don't know if you've used that or seen that, but it's really cute. It's actually a little cartoon picture of a picture of a sentence where there's a misplaced modifier. And so a lot of times as our teens are writing, sometimes when they're trying to add these modifiers, they do not put them in the correct places. And so the picture shows what the visual would be if the sentence was written incorrectly. And then at the end of the misplaced modifiers free resource, they give you a correction for the sentence. It's just a fun way to review and to explore misplaced modifiers. So again, today, go get that free IEW app. I'll put the link for you below in the show notes. And also look up, I think it's IEW.com/free, if I'm not mistaken, but don't quote me. I'll put the actual link in the show notes. Get the misplaced modifiers. It is super fun and it's funny. So anytime you can learn and laugh at the same time, I'm all for that. If you, as a parent, missed the book club meeting last night, we had such a good time around our virtual table talking about teaching from rest. But don't worry, we have another one coming up in August, and it's August Sunday, August 28th. That'll be my birthday. So come celebrate my birthday. 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's always the last Sunday of the month and always at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. But this month we're going to be reading Raising Critical Thinkers by Julie Bogart. So Raising Critical Thinkers by Julie Bogart. And hey, 1.3 family, she says, hi, I agree. One of the hardest things in raising teens is resistance. And I will add, is oh my gosh, yes, the facial expressions they give when their minds are shouting at you, but they're trying to be, oh my gosh, they're trying to be polite. Yes, yes, all of that. All of that. Oh my goodness. So, so, so true. I'll tell a quick funny story. Then I really have to go because my daughter is getting ready to run and she will kill me if I don't watch her. Last night during our teaching from rest conversation, we were writing down, which do this if you haven't done this. We were writing down the things that make us unique, because as moms, as homeschooling moms in particular, I think we're really, really good at looking at ourselves through our deficits, right? Like what I'm not good at, this is where I'm failing, but God has uniquely designed you, right? For your kids. I know it doesn't feel like that sometimes, but we were writing down things that make us unique, right? What is it that we appreciate about how we are wired? What are our strengths? And then one of the other things we did is we wrote down the names of each of our children, and we wrote down what it is that we appreciate about them. Because when they are, as 1.3 family said, when they are giving you those facial expressions, we want to remember how much we appreciate about these wonderful characteristics that they have. Like I have some very strong, one very, very strong-willed child, but I actually love that about her. She's very decisive, but sometimes that strong will and that decisiveness comes to me when I have a different decision I like for her to make. But I do love that about her. And so one thing we said is we wanted to write those things down about our children. Remember in the moment when we're having a hard moment, to remind ourselves of that character quality that we enjoy about that child. And we were like, we need to tell them to their face. Like we need to take a moment to like just grab their face and say, I appreciate how decisive you are. I appreciate, you have such a strong will. You are so decisive. You know what you want for yourself. I love that about you. And I tried to do that last night. It was so funny. I was like, come here, my teens. If you have teens, you would know how this probably went. I'm like, let me hold your face and tell you, I appreciate so much how you just come and talk to me. And my kids are like, why are you touching my face? Do you have to touch me when you're saying this to me? But anyway, we had a good time with that. But it was a great reminder that our teens can be rough sometimes, just with all the facial expressions and the resistance, but they are fearfully and wonderfully made. So I encourage you, Write those things down about your team that you enjoy and that you appreciate about them, about their unique character qualities, and remember those in those hard moments. All right, I'm going for real this time. I'll play a little bit for you. If you are interested in 1C or 1B, it'll give you a little bit of information about what that's all about. All right, take care, everybody.
Now, when it comes to the grammar portion of what I teach in this class, hi, I'm Mrs. Brown, certified IEW instructor, and I'm glad that you're considering the structure and style for students 1B class that also includes Fix-It Grammar Level 3. Now, with structure and style for students, this is the writing portion of this class. There's kind of two classes in one here, and it's designed for students who are reading at a 6th through 8th grade level. It's also designed to support you and your student as you work through the video lessons that are provided through Structure and Style for Students. Your student does not need to have previous IEW experience to join. Now, when it comes to the grammar portion of what I teach in this class, it is important that your student master the concepts in level 1 and level 2 before moving to level 3. Fix-It Grammar is cumulative. If you're not 100% sure about placement, IEW has excellent customer service. I recommend calling them. Now, if you have any questions about this class, be sure to see my FAQ link inside of the class description. If you would like support for yourself and your student, and you don't want to do this whole writing and grammar thing alone this year, I'd be delighted to have you all on my writing team. Take care. Hi, I'm Mrs. Brown, certified IEW instructor, and I am delighted that you are considering Structure and Style for Students 1C and Fix-It Grammar Book 5. Now, your student on the writing side of this class does not need to have previous IEW experience. However, this class is designed for students who are reading at a 10th grade or above reading level. It's also designed to support you and your student as you all are working through the video lessons that come with this particular writing program. Now, on the grammar side of the house, it really is important for your student to have mastered the grammar concepts in books 1, 2, 3, and 4 before they enter 5. Fix-It Grammar is cumulative. If you're not 100% sure about placement, IEW has excellent customer service, so I recommend contacting them to make sure you're placing your student in the right class. If you have any extra questions about my class, be sure to look at the FAQ link that I have listed inside of the class description. If you would like support for your student and you don't want to do this writing and grammar journey by yourself this year, I would love to have you as part of my writing team. Take care.